While watching TV, I saw this Carl's Jr. commercial. Carl's Jr. has been known to air some rather risque advertisements. It is commonly known that in this day and age, sex sells. Advertisers pride themselves on using sexy models and attractive men to promote products that they want us to buy. However, in the case of many TV commercials today, such as these burger advertisements, how far is too far? The recent TV campaign starring one scantily clad Kate Upton was astonishingly one of the most modest advertisements the company has created. One starring Paris Hilton in particular is so inappropriate, I was surprised it was even allowed to air on television. While watching these TV ads and viewing scantily clad girls in magazines, many questions arise as to whether or not these commercials are morally sound. We view more than 40,000 television ads alone per year, each one targeting a specific consumer and product. By using sexy models and double entendres to promote their products, companies are clearly making a statement. Obviously, marketing techniques are going to be used strategically in order for the company to become successful, and there is no doubt that advertisements work. Companies use strategic advertising techniques to create different emotions in the viewer. They clearly appeal to the emotions of the audience by using creative marketing language in their advertisements. Language can be any number of things to create the communication to get a point across. In ad campaigns, this ranges from the words used in the campaign to the double entendres used in an Axe commercial for body wash. They played coy by cleaning sports equipment when the message was clearly intended for something a little steamier. The language used in these commercials can also be extended to what is actually being filmed. Shots of exposed skin and heavy cleavage add to the promiscuous language these companies use in their commercials. As you can see here, this company is taking an attractive man to communicate to the male that by buying this body wash they will be more attractive, and they're communicating to the ladies that if they buy this body wash for their man, he will be more attractive to them and more handsome. They are using their own language creatively to get you to buy their product. Does the use of sexuality in advertising have an effect on human values? Does it create within us an innate desire to be more sexually promiscuous? This question boils down to several different considerations. One consideration is the surroundings and environment that the viewer has been raised in and is currently in at the moment. If a person were raised on, say, Christian values, or even in a very modest household, that person would come to the belief that one should be modest, has set values pertaining to how they live, including being sexually modest, staying pure until marriage, and remaining faithful to one person. With that as the foundation of how they live, watching promiscuous advertisements would not sway them to act in a more sexually scandalous way. On the other hand, if a person was not raised in a modest environment, viewing these commercials might have negative effects. As we look at history, it is not a secret that being sexually promiscuous has gone on the rise as of late. Kids are dressing in a more inappropriate way at younger ages. Underage sex and teen pregnancy rates have grown significantly. 80% of teenage pregnancies today are unintentional. About 820,000 teens become pregnant each year. Sex is one of the most primal reactions we humans have within us. Ages ago, drawings on caves depicted sexual acts. People worshipped gods whose dominion was sex, and their idols were in the form of sex organs. And it is no secret that it has gained popularity over the years, especially with the advent of technology. Social media sites, television, magazines, and movies everywhere depict tiny girls and buff men flaunting everything they have, leaving little to the imagination. So the question still stands. Does promiscuous advertising result in a more promiscuous person? If a person was not raised on moral standards, do their ethics guide them? I believe we still live in a fairly conservative world for the most part. When people find out that others have been engaging in sexual acts when they are young or unmarried, it is usually frowned upon. People might be guided by this, and while seeing these promiscuous advertisements, they still might shy away from being more sexually loose. However, if a person isn't even guided by the ethical standards society has raised, viewing these ads could create within them the desire to become more sexually promiscuous. More than ever, girls are pressured to look a certain way, dress in provocative styles that will allure men, and become sexually engaging at younger ages. Many of these girls, younger and older, won't follow these ethical standards set in place and will opt for the sex, the thing that will get them noticed. They will buy the tithing bathing suit that the boys love so much, and the boys will buy the burger because some hot girl is subliminally suggesting to them that it is sensually delicious, and by buying the product, they will have a similar experience. Does the fact that we are so quick to buy products from seductive models say something about our human values? Or is it a natural and instinct reaction within us? Much of it has to do with the creativity of the marketing corporations. Addressing this point again, they clearly use a language that is intent on making the consumer buy the product. They appeal to our emotions to get us to get up off the couch and buy the perfume that will help get us the hot Italian guy. But does the fact that we are so quick to give into these techniques say something to us about humans, our priorities and values? By buying the products that are marketed in a promiscuous way, we are telling these companies that we enjoy and like their ads. Therefore, they will create more of them. Clearly, sex isn't far from anyone's mind these days by the amount of seductive campaigns out there. Are we deliberately going out and buying these products to make us more attractive to the opposite sex? Or is it a natural instinct within us to go out and buy these products, not because we actively think it will enhance our appearance, but because it is second nature within us? One man stated, "Showing people sexual images cannot harm them. However, rather, it is just a manifestation of their desires. It is already what is motivating them to do things, and already the only reason they would buy a product. Showing the image does nothing but enhance a connection that already exists in the human mind, so it cannot harm human values. It only shows a true representation of them. This is what scares people." Here, he is stating that advertisers are showing us what we subconsciously want. Though we may not want to admit it outright, our priorities may not be sex to us, but our human biology suggests so, making it so easy for us to give into the carnal pleasures and buy those products. But not all of the blame can be placed on us. Should there be limitations on what advertisers are allowed to do? Should they accept responsibility for the negative effects their advertising has on young women? Pressures are put on women to look perfect, and sometimes the pressures can be too much, leading to anorexia, bulimia, and suicide. There is no doubt that this is related in part to the media. As for dieting and weight loss, promote embracing a new image, not being comfortable in the one you have. And advertisements such as the ones Carl's Jr. creates shows models that create impossibly high beauty standards that regular women could never live up to. The chance of a woman being as thin as a runway model is less than 7%, and the chance of a woman being as thin as a supermodel is less than 1%. While advertisers should not be given as much leniency as they have now, the result of these effects in women cannot be entirely placed upon them. While many of the advertisements in the media today are inappropriate and send messages that are not very positive, women and men alike should be smart in how they view these messages. It is all in how they perceive these ads. While many of them are explicit in what they're trying to say, "Hey, I can eat a burger and wash a car at the same time," which is something I've never experienced and something I imagine would be rather difficult, a bigger picture is always needed. If advertisers have to use sexy people to advertise their product, something seems a little off. The focus should be on the product, not the girl holding the product, which seems a little arbitrary. They are distracting from the very thing that they are trying to sell, though it still seems like the message is being spread quite simply. It is important to stay detached and not let your emotions get the best of you when viewing the advertisements. This is when your self-esteem gets in the way. This is what leads to eating disorders and negative self-views. Promiscuous advertising is a clear issue in the media today, and something that I think has gotten out of hand. I believe advertising companies should take into account the negative messages that they promote, as well as the degrading, objectifying messages that they are projecting. This slogan accompanies the campaign with Audrina Patridge. It is clearly ironic in its statement that this burger is more than just a piece of meat. That is exactly what they are turning their models into, pieces of meat that the public can enjoy and devour. Promiscuous advertising is a hot topic today and raises many different viewpoints from all sides. While it seems rather agreeable that many of these companies take it too far in the images they are creating, it is almost always important to be smart when viewing them. Don't get swept up in the mob mentality of the sex craze. Take the product on its own standing, and not because some hot girl told you to buy it because it will help you get girls.